Good morning, and thank you for viewing today's live stream service from St. Paul Lutheran Church in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. We are going to present an overview of how we are doing financially at St. Paul and share with you our proposed 2020-2021 budget. Before I begin, let me take a moment to speak to our members and friends who have lost family during these trying times of COVID-19. Although we may not have been able to be with you in person, know that our prayers and deepest condolences go out to you and your families. If there is anything that we can do during your time of grief, please let us know and we will do our best to assist. As for our budget and where we stand financially, let me begin by saying that we are both in good and blessed times, while also in difficult and trying times. How can we be in both? Let's briefly review what we have defined as our congregational goals and priorities. First, we have stated that our highest ministerial priority is our Christian Day School. We have supported the school for over 100 years and repeatedly reaffirmed that support. Over several years, the improvements at the school have been noteworthy. With the help and determination of Rita McClatchy and the school staff, the school is now accredited. This is something that we've desired for decades. If you visited the school this last year, you witnessed the facility that has been improving not only from an operational perspective, but also from a look and character point of view. The school looks better than it has in a long time. We have always had gifted and talented staff, and this we are blessed. Currently, our staff have coordinated and integrated the curriculum from preschool through 8th grade. We have staffed the classrooms with some of the best teachers available. We have also added Dr. Margie Baldwin to the staff as principal. With her years of experience and study, we hope to grow the number of students back to where we were years ago. In this dynamic community of Royal Oak, where young adults and families are moving in, we are positioned beautifully to tap that potential. And now, with a young, vibrant, ambitious new pastor coming on board who understands our desire to grow and expand, we are ready to move forward at both the school and church. I said that we are both blessed and have difficulties. Currently, our biggest difficulty at the school is the low number of students. We are ready to grow. We have our ducks in a row. We have the staff, we have the curriculum, we have the facility. Growth comes next. And I have to tell you, with this virus thing, it's sure making things harder. But in an odd way, even that makes us better. For example, smaller number of kids in the classroom is a healthier environment. And currently, low numbers is what we have. In many ways, reality depends on how you look at it. Our new pastor, Jake Angeleski, who will be joining us the end of June, is the answer to many prayers. I hope everyone understands the likelihood of Jake being assigned to St. Paul was beyond all odds and certainly was an example of the Holy Spirit at work. I'll share with you that whole story when we have more time. However, as we discussed at our special voters meeting when we requested Jake, it was strongly stated that he is going to need a great deal of help and support. I believe we all understood that then, and it is now that we need to show it. Let me remind everyone, it was at our leadership meetings over the last several years where we identified the need to get our pastor some additional help. We talked about it over and over. We took no action. Here again, we are blessed. Because of the low student count at the school, a difficulty, we have the opportunity to increase Greg Paul's involvement in the church ministry to assist Jake as he starts serving. Greg is uniquely qualified, having years of background with both the church and the school to provide Jake the perspective needed for continuity and enabling Jake to reach his full potential here. Here again, a difficulty, potential overstaffing at school, and a blessing, needed pastor support at church. Let's talk directly about our current financial status for a moment. Here again, we are blessed and have difficulties. This shutdown has stopped us in our tracks in many ways. No church, no school, no fellowship, stress, tension. However, it has also moved us forward in many ways. We started live streaming services, which has proven to be very successful. So successful, in fact, that we are planning to continue to live stream services even when we are free to attend church again. Currently, we are getting an average of 60 households per week watching the live stream services, and about 300 views per week total watching the recorded services. On top of that, we continue to be blessed from a giving perspective. Our contribution levels have been sustained throughout the crisis. People dropping off envelopes and switching to direct payments have kept St. Paul from experiencing what could have been a devastating setback. Thank you for your continued support. I've been asked if we applied for and or received any of the federal monies from the PPP CARE Act. The short answer is no. We did not apply, nor did we receive any federal money. In a moment, Eric is going to walk us through the April financials. What you will see is that we have a good-sized cash reserve. This cash reserve is the money that we save up through the year to help us through the summer months when contributions and school tuition income drops off significantly. We need these reserves to balance our cash flow. But having reserves, as we do, does not qualify us for support. As a congregation, we also have various assets, such as property, and low debts, such as few loans, which is a blessing for us, but also does not illustrate a need for a PPP loan. I should add that out of the 8 churches within our circuit, 3 applied and 5 did not. Like St. Paul, most are concerned that the loans, when reviewed more vigilantly, could very likely not qualify for transfer into grants. Time will tell what is correct. Let me speak for a moment about our proposed budget. In general, we are going to see that we are addressing the current changing conditions we are facing at the school, our enrollment issues, and at the church with our new pastor. At the school, we are looking at correcting what has been a decade-long drought relative to salaries by increasing them by 2 to 3%. This does not make up for a decade of low or no salary growth, but it is a start. Hopefully, this will help to maintain the nature and quality of the staff that we have now developed. Also, we are shifting staff priorities so as to provide Jake with a Lutheran-trained and experienced staff member. We have been talking about supporting our pastor with a young and vibrant family life minister. Instead, we have a young and vibrant pastor with a seasoned support member. These moves require that we take a fresh look at how we leverage our gifts, the gifts that we have at our disposal. At the June voters meeting 3 years ago, we defined the resources to support a family life minister. Salary and program costs came to $82,000. At the time, we did not identify a source of funds to allow us to move forward. The motion was tabled. Today, the cost to supplement the church staff remain essentially the same. However, we believe it is time to use the resources we have in hand to make the investment in the long-term future of St. Paul. We hold properties which do nothing to support our ministries, the ministries we desire. Divesting and investing will allow us to move forward. We now are primed and in position to become the church that we have wanted to become. Now is the time for all hands to come on deck. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our treasurer, Eric Pittman, to walk us through the financials and the budget. Eric?
Thank you, Ken. We'd like to take a look at the financial report, which you see on your screens right in front of you. You can see that, as usual, the report shows the April income for the month as well as the expenses and net income. It's significant to notice that you can see in the contribution side, for 5 weeks, we have taken in $47,000, and that's about $9,000 a week, which is very good. As Ken already shared with you, you can see that direct deposit, a lot more people have been active in that area, and that really has helped us with our cash flow, and it's reflected in this report as well. You can see the weekly average for April is $11,815, which is a significant number, a good increase from what we normally have had. In fact, like Ken mentioned, since the pandemic, since more people are involved in direct deposit, we've actually done better since the pandemic because people are going through direct deposit, and that helps our cash flow on a regular basis, so we're thankful for that. Take a look on the bottom left-hand side, the year-to-date. You can see all the totals for the year so far. You can see the average is now $11,302.53. That's gone up in the months of March and April. Ken made reference to the surplus number there, and you can see it's $85,974. That's a lot of money. People have been talking about that. Ken addressed that a couple minutes ago. Certainly we need that for the future, particularly the months of the summer. So it's significant that we have that much money in reserve. But why that high? Well, we've seen our expenses go down considerable since the pandemic as well, too, as far as utilities, staff. During the course of the year, our first and second grade teacher retired, and that helped us extensively, too. So you can see that with those numbers there alone, that number is now pretty high. And since we don't have tuition coming in until September, we're going to need that cash flow there. If you have any questions about the financial report, don't hesitate to ask me or Ken, and we'll be happy to answer that. I'd like to move on to the budget then. Let's take a look at that for this upcoming year. And before we go to that, first I want to acknowledge the Finance Committee itself. I'm just a front man. I just provide the numbers. The guy in the background, Ken Mills, a member of the Finance Board, contributes a lot to this, as well as Ken Ruskowski, so I thank them for all their work. We started working on this in January already, and I believe this is our 6th or 7th draft. In fact, the latest change was made last Monday. So a lot of work has gone on, a lot of changes have been made on a regular basis. I'm just going to hit the highlights. I can't go through all of these categories, but there are some significant things that we need to take a look in this particular budget. I'd like to first deal with the expense side that I hope is up there on the screens for you. Basically, these numbers don't change too much, or we cannot change them that much. There are certain expenses that we have that are there on a regular basis. But the significant changes we have in a budget for this year, of course, is the cost for a new pastor. The salary, the benefits, the allowances, including things like moving. Another thing that you'll see as we go through here, we had a new major expense through the city of Royal Oak for sewage and the like, and you'll see that when I get down to that. And Ken also addressed the salary increases we had for about 2 or 3%. We'd much rather do it up front than what we have done in the past when we have done some cash disbursements. This is like a down payment on hopefully what we can do better in the future as we go through the year itself. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to go through these pages very quickly and just highlight the parts that show the changes. Again, the budget is found outside in the narthex. When you drop by the church, you can pick up a copy of that. If you have any questions, please talk to me or Ken Ruskowski or Ken Mills, and we'll hopefully address those things. All right, so the first page, page 3 at the top, administration costs. Nothing big changes there, nothing that you have to be know about. The next section talks about Christian Day School, 8,100. Those particular numbers, the rest of those numbers that you see on page 3 have to do with the school and money that they collect in book fees. Because we're on a unified budget, those numbers have to be here. It doesn't affect us at all because the bills are paid through the book fees that are collected by the school. So nothing on that first page of any significance. Page 4, we go to Christian worship. Those are the necessary expenses for things to happen within the church, as well as you keep on going down board ministry expense, expenses for Sunday school, VBS, and the like. No changes there we need to talk about. Evangelism going down in the middle of the page. These are monies that we allot for various groups to work, including money that we have to pay to Missouri City and Michigan District. Stewardship, you can see youth and the expenses for that. Continuing education, both for the staff and the pastoral office. And then at the bottom of the page is things we have no control over, but we budget for it based on past history for the heat, electricity. The most significant thing you can see there is the storm water and that huge expense that we are going to be paying this year of about $19,200 that we didn't anticipate. That is a new cost that we had to put in there. Page 5. Here you can see the pastoral office, all the things that are necessary for our new pastor to operate, including the moving expenses. You can see there. Debt increase and principal, those are fixed costs that we have to pay. And then finally, where most of our expenses are, we can't do much about it. Most of the expenses we have on a budget are payroll, benefits, and taxes. So you can see those particular things that are incurred there. Total costs, our budget though for this next fiscal year is $1,084,000. And as you can see from these sheets, we give you July 2018, 2 years ago, and then last year this year up to where we are now, and the proposed budget on the far right side. So you can have some kind of idea where we're going on this particular budget and the like. So again, these are our expenses. How do we go about paying for it is next, our income side. So now if you take a look at the income side, and a lot of what we put in the expenses as well as the income, the rationale Ken just explained in his notes before I got up here. And this is what we're looking at. This is what we need to accomplish this particular budget. If you look on that first page, page 1, contribution income, you can see pretty much it's pretty flat. For me personally, I look at the income that's coming in from the offerings. That number I hope will increase. We have a new pastor coming in, new life in the congregation. Honeymoon period's probably going to occur during that time as well too. That number may go up from what you see there. You can see that we're estimating 99% of where we were this last year. Then we go into school income, and this kind of is an area that we are concerned with as far as the finance board is concerned. That $127,700 is based on 40 students. We're concerned because, again, that reflects possibly for the 6th straight year enrollment has gone down. Of that 40 that we're budgeting for, only 28 have actually enrolled at this particular point. So that number is going to be very fluid. We're going to be looking at that, especially come June when the voters meet and talk about the budget too. So that's an area we are concerned with. The next number is tuition surcharge, books, classroom supplies. Again, that goes back to the school account. We're part of the unified budget. Those are the expenses that are paid out of the book fees that are collected. Bottom of the page, rental income, nothing significant there. Going on to page 2, board ministry, Board of Elders. Nothing about there that's important, but we have those costs that are there. Next section is particularly to fund operating board income. We are estimating that we'll get about $15,000 from the fund operating board. That might be a little bit of a stretch with our economy, but we are predicting that we'll be able to get that from the various funds. Over and above contributions, nothing there. Those are historical numbers we're taking a look at. Then the next number that we are kind of concerned about is arts, eats, and beats income. You can see that we labeled that at $20,000. We don't know what Arts, Eats, and Beats that group is going to do yet. It hasn't been announced. We've heard that they are changing some of the things they might do if it goes on. So we cut that number down a little bit, but I'm sure we'll know maybe by June whether or not it's going to go on or what kind of changes it's going to have as well, too. So that's a number that we are concerned about. Ferndale school reimbursement, if you do not know what that is, that's an important number for us because we are on the shared time program with the Ferndale School District. We've been assured by the Board of Education that that money still will continue to come in to help pay our teachers. And here's the last biggie. To make this a successful budget and to meet budget, right now we are looking to have to get $81,000 from the sale of some of our properties, some of the houses. That's going to be a key number for us to make the budget. And that is about all the areas that we have on the income that you need to deal with on that. If you have any questions about how we came up with this, talk to Ken Mills, myself, or Ken Ruskowski. We'll be happy to try to answer it. Come June, when we approve the budget, I'm sure there'll be some more questions, and there'll probably be another draft that we'll have as well, too, with any changes that may come up. With that, I'll give it back to Ken.
Thank you, Eric. This presentation is going to constitute the first reading of our proposed budget. I welcome you, all of you, to pick up a copy of the budget, which will be in the lobby, as Eric had mentioned. You can leave questions with Pam also, if that's if you choose, and she'll get those over to us. We will be notifying you about how we will be holding or developing our voters meeting. Note that tentatively, Jake also is scheduled to be ordained at Historic Trinity on June 21st. This service will be open to his family and close friends only. However, it will be live streamed. We'll notify you as to the process to have that service viewed, and perhaps, if possible, we'll even try to have the presentation here at the church on our screens. Also, 2 committees are being formed. The first is a Health, Safety, and Security Committee, which will examine the liabilities and establish the protocols for opening up the church and school. If you have talents in the health field or security field and are interested in helping, please let me know. The second committee is to assist the planning and celebration of Jake's installation here at St. Paul. That service is tentatively scheduled for the afternoon of June 28th. Save that date. Please note that on that day, assuming we're having services at our normal times, we are going to change for that day and only have a single service at 9:30. If you're interested in serving on the installation committee, please contact Stephen Carpenter or Pam at the office. With that, I'll turn things over to Steve Baker, who I'm sure is anxiously awaiting you for his Zoom